Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend some of your valuable time with me as I talk about the games that I acquired and played in February 2024. This is going to be a short video because I only acquired one new game. I played one game in app form, and I only got one physical board game to the table this month. So this is the slowest gaming month I've had in years, and the reason is my primary gaming friend Paul, not to get into any of his personal business, but he deals with some of the same stuff that I deal with. And I will say that while people tend to understand when somebody has a chronic illness, that along with that comes the physical exhaustion, the struggles with mental energy, that all kind of makes sense with chronic illness. But I don't think people tend to understand just how much of a financial struggle it is to be on disability as well. I mean, when me and my primary gaming friend live 45 minutes apart from each other, and neither of us has money to put in the gas tank to make that 90-minute round trip, it means that we're not getting together to play games. So it is what it is. I did take advantage of the extra time to try to catch up on some video editing, as well as building some Magic decks in Magic the Gathering. And at the same time, I had a couple of sick kids to look after too. So there always seems to be plenty for me to do, but let's get into the games here. So the one game that I picked up was a little two-player only game called Glasgow. It's one that I got through a local Ontario board gaming auction. Somebody was running a geek list auction on BoardGameGeek, and I picked this up for the low price of $10. And I am very grateful to my Patreon supporters that I do have at least a tiny bit of spending money each month. If you have the means and the willingness to give just a couple bucks a month to somebody who you know is going to actually make a difference to, please feel free to check out my Patreon. I'm so grateful for anything that people are willing to give to me because, like I said, it does make a difference for me. As far as the two games played, you might have guessed if you've watched recent videos that my app game was chess once again. I previously beat the 1500 ranked AI opponent, so I bumped up to the 1600 rank, and I lost against that AI, so I gotta keep working on that. And I continue to play my daily chess puzzles, which is a fun activity as well, and a nice little exercise for the brain at the same time. Now, the one board game I was able to actually get to the table, I played with my two boys, and this was The Adventures of Robin Hood with the Friar Tuck in Danger expansion that I had purchased for Christmas for them. So 2 Christmases ago, The Adventures of Robin Hood had been a huge hit with the boys. We had played through the 7-game campaign. There are 9 total games in the campaign, but there's one kind of branching point where you can go one way or the other. But the kids had really enjoyed it. We got the Friar Tuck in Danger expansion to the table, which adds 4 continuation scenarios to that campaign. And the boys loved it. They remembered just how much fun this game was. It's such a unique game where it has this huge game board that has all these kind of pull-out cardboard tabs where you can go to a character on the board and talk to them and pull out the tab and see what happens. Or maybe there's a item there like a barrel or something like that. You can pull it out and see what's there. And depending on which specific scenario you're playing, you might find something different at that board location from scenario to scenario, because it's also done largely through this little book that has the text of the adventure in it, that as you encounter people and places, you will read the text, you might have a decision to make, and then you see what happens. So it is very much text-based. It's running around a board, seeing what you discover, and then when it comes time for challenges, such as combat with a guard or something like that, you're pulling cubes from a bag in the hopes of pulling certain color cubes. Now, a lot of that is very luck-based. When you're playing out the adventure, you have maybe an idea of where you might need to go to find out information, but you are just kind of exploring a bit, talking to people, seeing what you can find out. And then when it comes time to have challenges, then you're hoping to draw the right cubes. So there's not a ton of strategy to the game. In fact, there's almost no strategy. You're just kind of running around and seeing what happens and hoping for the best. Yet there's something about the game, the way it's all put together, the way the narrative is done, that makes it such a fun experience. And in fact, partway through playing the first adventure in the expansion here, my 14-year-old son Evan just came out and said, "This game is just so cleverly designed." You could see how these things were all put together in just such a fun and interesting way, and I had to agree with him. Now, rating family games is difficult for me. So last month I had trouble coming up with a rating for One Night Ultimate Supervillains because it's a game that I had fun playing with my family members, but in terms of a game on its own in comparison to all the other board games I've ever played, it's just not my cup of tea really, but it still provided me with a fun experience, so it was hard to judge the game in terms of giving it a numerical rating. Similar situation for this one here. It's, as a family game, it's just almost perfect. Like, it's, as me running the game for my boys and participating in it with them, it's a very effortless experience. It's fun. It doesn't really outstay its welcome. So, I mean, from the family gaming point of view, it's a 9.5 maybe, but in terms of trying to look at it objectively, in terms of a game that I would sit down and play with my gaming friends, in comparison to all the other games I own and have played, it's more like, I don't know, a 6 out of 10 game. It's not one I would typically choose to get to the table over most other games, and so it's hard to rate it. I really want to give it a 9 out of 10 because it's provided myself and my boy such a fun, amazing family gaming experience. And so I'll go with a 9 out of 10. It's funny, Evan, when I asked him his rating, he wanted to give it 10 out of 10, but then he's like, no, my favorite game is Arcadia Quest, and I give that 10 out of 10. So I'm going to give this one 9.9 out of 10 so that it can be just a tiny bit below Arcadia Quest. And then Wyatt, my 13-year-old, gave it a 9 out of 10. So all three of us are in agreement that this is just a fantastic family game and an overall fun narrative-based adventure. And that was it for my February gaming. Hopefully you had a better gaming month than I did. Please get into the comments and let me know if you've been playing anything new, or if there's any games that have been particularly exciting you, or anything coming up that you're really looking forward to acquire or get to the table. I'd love to hear all about it. And thank you so much for watching. Cheers. And I played one tabletop. That it's not typically one I would choose to come to, and an overall fun text-based, narrative-based